Inside the lawmaking heart of American democracy, a debate about history, race, and identity is playing out. Are historical heroes, some of them slave-owning, treasonous rebels, divisive figures to this day, worthy of honor? The question is being asked in a room so rich in stories, historians like Georgetown University's Chandra Manning feel a bit giddy walking in.
Oh, I get a kick out of being here. Statuary Hall is just so fascinating in how it came to be and what it represents.
The room, now known as Statuary Hall, was the first House of Representatives. After Congress outgrew the space in the 1860s, the room became a hall of honor. Each state could contribute 2 statues of deceased citizens, illustrious for their historic renown or for distinguished civic or military services.
When you take them together, what you do have is a statement about who Americans think they are.
And it's not all pretty.
This is Alexander Stephens. Stephens is best known as the vice president of the Confederacy.
And he was racist.
Well, it's hard to say otherwise.
Alexander Stephens owned 34 slaves and several thousand acres in Georgia, famous for his 1861 speech outlining the reason for the Confederacy. He said its cornerstone rests upon the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery, subordination to the superior race, is his natural and normal condition.
Here is a man who said that the fit station for African Americans, as we would say now, is enslavement.
Yes.
And school children, African American, all races, walk through and see him.
And see him there, yes.
There are 12 statues of Confederates in Statuary Hall and other parts of Capitol Hill. The state of Virginia supplied this statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee even before it submitted one of that state's most prominent politician, first President of the United States, George Washington. Just as telling as who the states chose is when they made those choices.
That they would choose particular exemplars at a particular time makes it very difficult to stop short of the conclusion that the choice is very directly linked to a strong message about who counts and who should stay in their place.
Lee donated in 1909, just as laws mandating segregation were passed. Stephens donated in 1927, just as the Ku Klux Klan soared in popularity not just in the South, but across the U.S., followed shortly by this statue.
Jefferson Davis, the gift of the state of Mississippi in 1931. Jefferson Davis is most well known, of course, for serving as the president of the Confederacy.
A rebel, essentially.
Oh, certainly.
Treasonous.
Certainly. To try to overthrow the government of the United States by armed force is a rebel at best and treason at worst. And yet, here he is.
It gives me pause that this is not the place for an individual like him. I see Statuary Hall as a place of honor, as a place where one would come to look at the true heroes of America.
Congressman Benny Thompson, a Democrat, has represented Mississippi's 2nd District for 27 years. He supports legislation recently introduced by African American Democrats in the House and Senate to remove Confederate statues from the Capitol, but he doesn't think it will pass. Not yet.
A lot of people are saying, it really doesn't make sense to put these statues of men associated with the Ku Klux Klan, with slavery and other dastardly deeds in places of honor. Because what they did was illegal, treasonous, and as I say, criminal.
Republican House Speaker Paul Ryan said in August it should be up to states to decide which statues they want, so it's unlikely the bill will get very far. And recent polls suggest more than half of the American population believes that Confederate monuments should stay in public places.
I think they should stay up because they're a part of our history. That Civil War and the Confederate part of the history is very important, and I think this generation needs to know that.
It is important for the younger generation to learn about the history, the good, the bad, and the evil.
History, after all, is complicated.
This guy has swagger.
He sure did. Zebulon Vance is a character.
Son of a slave owner, Confederate soldier who later became North Carolina's governor, known for helping the poor and religious tolerance.
His is a complicated story that I think makes us pause for a moment to stop short of saying we need to throw everybody out for holding opinions that are repugnant to us.
Repugnance is part of the United States, historically and now. The divisive question seems to be where to draw the line between acknowledging and honor. Lyndsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.